welcome everybody listening from all around the world, all around this beautiful blue-green planet we call Gaia. Welcome everybody listening here in Australia, this beautiful country of ours. Welcome to the Mystic Drop, where each week we try and journey down the road less traveled by. As the great Robert Frost once poetically put, I'm your host, Roberto Roya. Joining me today is Patrick McEwen. And how you doing, brother?
Oh, brother, great. Really excited about doing this and going deep on this. So
Well, I know you have such an interesting story to tell, and I can't wait to hear it. And then we can expand out from there. But before we get into all that, we've got a mystic drop incantation that I like to share with my first-time guests. And it goes like this. We are two cosmic spiritual beings sitting around the campfire. Two drops of light from the Great Spirit. Truth is our path, and wisdom is our teacher. We start with a salute, and now let our magic flow. Oh, mate, awesome to have you on, man. It's a real pleasure. I've only met you once in real life, and I got a really good energy from you from that first meeting. And man, who knows? Maybe we've met in other previous lives. But we're here now, and I know you have such a unique story. You've had an encounter with a close call. I've called this episode "Dancing with Death." Please share your story, Patrick.
Hey, brother. It definitely was that too. So a couple of weeks ago on a Thursday there, I went to a spot in Murwillumbah. It's called Massage Rocks, and I got there, and the current was really moving that particular day. It was like I went there on a Wednesday, the day before, and then the day after I went back there, and the current was much quicker. So I went there, and I was walking in the water, and there was a voice in my head that said, "I don't know about this." So unfortunately, I just went anyway, and I just continued on, and I basically betrayed my intuition. I didn't go with it, and I went in there anyway, and I clinched onto a rock, and I just held onto that rock for a few minutes, and I realized afterwards, once I was in the current, that I had to let go at some point, and the current was moving really quickly. I let go, and just before I let go, I threw my flippers to the side. I had some swimming flippers with me, as I let go of the rock, I went on the current, and then I came up against a tree, and this tree was really, like, the branches were really long. Underneath I had to basically avoid the tree, otherwise I would have coat hanged the tree. So I went underneath the water, and then I grabbed the tree branch, and I managed to come up for a breath because I was really struggling. I was basically losing oxygen pretty quickly. Like I was just running out of air, and then I grabbed the tree, and then I continued on. Took a couple of breaths to get my breaths back, and then I continued on down the creek, and I was just trying to find my flipper. And then as I did that, I put my hand on. Sorry, my foot was on a rock, on another rock, and then I could just feel myself slipping, and I slipped, and I was so lucky to swim to shore, swim to the grass area of the creek. And if I didn't, things really could have been a whole new level, because I sent you the photos of the creek and that, and the video, and then things could have just got to a whole new level. If I went down there, it would have got really scary. But yeah, long story short, I ran out of breath earlier, and things just got really scary for me there. I really thought that things could have got really dangerous from there.
Yeah, no, I remember you sending me those pictures and videos, and the way the water was flowing, it just sort of automatically just dips down into like nothing. and then it comes back up again. So if you got
Totally.
stuck in that little ridge there, that would have, yeah, who knows what would have happened there.
Oh, totally. Yeah. I mean, it
So
was just so strong, man.
what was going through your mind, like while all this was
What was
happening?
going? Oh man, I actually thought I was going to drown. I literally did. I really struggled for air, and then I saw the tree, and then what was going through my mind was I had my hands up to protect my face, and then because I knew that there'd be branches underneath the water, and there was, and yeah, so I just protected my face with both hands just like that, and then managed to grab the branch, and then yeah, I suppose I had a deep fear of drowning because I could just feel like I was just gasping for air, and then once I got up, I took a few breaths and then continued on the stream.
Now looking back, you know, after it's all happened now and you've come out of it alive,
Yeah.
that little voice that you said before going in, what
Yeah.
do you contribute that to? Do you contribute that to your guides, your angels, loved ones on the other side? Have you thought of this?
Yes, I have. Yeah, I actually do have two guides that I mean, I'm kind of new on this journey of having guides and that, but I do have one guide who speaks to me often and who's actually alive, like who's actually present. And I feel like the way that I'm relating this to is I feel like I'm connecting to his higher self,
Right.
and he's just giving me some messages in there, like, "Hey, brother, listen, breathe, and like go slow," and like different messages at that one given time. And then there's a woman as well who acts as a spirit guide for me as well. And the way that I've connected to this is essentially connecting to a higher self, essentially, and their higher selves. Like her name's Sarah Blondin. So I feel she always speaks in all her chapters in her books. In one of her books, Heart Minded, she has this amazing, like, she always starts her conversations with "Dear One," like um yeah, no, she says yeah, that's right, yeah, "Dear One," and then um yeah, I feel like her voice is coming through, and then it speaks through me, and then I listen to it, and I trust it. But this particular moment, I feel like it was just my intuition speaking, my intuition really coming through me and saying, like, "I don't know about this," was the exact words. And then I remember I went against that, and that's when things got really out of hand.
Wow, I've never heard of this before, that guides that are actually alive and using their higher self to connect with you. Like guides for me, what I've heard is, you know, beings on
Yeah.
the other side that are, you know, that are with you throughout your journey. They come and go, and in times of, you know, in need, especially what you've gone through, they're there. So that's interesting that you've said that.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's definitely, I mean, it feels weird saying this, but that's just what feels true to me on my journey, and just and knowing that that those voices do come through for me. And I feel like Brother Ra is someone who I look up to a lot, and who's a mentor of mine, and I've been working with him for a while, and his voice definitely comes through for me when I'm out and about in different spots in nature. Particularly when I'm in nature, I can really hear his voice, and he's like, I feel like he's giving me directions and giving me guidance, and to where to be, and yeah, to trust that, where whatever comes through, whatever message. Yeah.
Yeah, wow. So
Yeah.
after all this happened, you know, you must have looked at your life and where you've been and what you've done, and your philosophies must have, you know, gotten way deeper
Mm.
into, you know, what life's really about. Have
Yeah.
what did you come up with after that experience?
Yeah, well, I realized for me, intuition, I feel, is the ultimate self-love.
Yeah.
And I, yeah, I really believe that, brother. And there may, yeah, there may never be a second chance. And I just realized that I have to trust intuition no matter what. Like I really have to go with it. And yeah, and there's consequences to that as well. If I believe there's always some kind of consequence if intuition isn't trusted and it goes against that. So I've realized that for me, like it's great to have mentors and different, coaches and stuff like that. But the bottom line is honoring self is the most important, and definitely intuition for me is right up there with self-love.
And it's so interesting that it always takes something like this to wake people up and to start really living their life. Did your lifestyle change from that point, or were you always on that spiritual path?
I mean, I've been on a path for a while of really connecting to myself and being on, like, I've been a part of men's groups for a couple of years. I got initiated about 3 years ago through MKP, and did the men's work facilitate training. Yeah, I mean, I've been on the journey probably for about maybe 6 years, but more so in the last 3 years, things have got to like another level kind of thing in terms of deeper work on myself and deeper processes and stuff like that. A lot of process work is probably been my journey with a lot of men's work and stuff. Yeah, so yeah, and did things shift after that? I mean, yeah, I mean, just that importance of intuition is really what came through as well. But yeah.
What's involved in the men's work that you do?
What's involved? So we talk about. So we come together as men, and we always sage at the beginning of our group, and then we do that, and then we sit in circle and we talk about our base feelings and our emotions. So what's coming up for us, whether we're feeling mad, sad, guilt, shame, joy. They're the 5 base emotions. And then we call it a lovers round, like a feeling brief. And then we move into a warrior round where we talk about accountability and agreements.
Yeah.
For example, like we had I had an agreement with you like 8 o'clock, on the call, and keeping that agreement. Now, if we don't keep that agreement, then we do some work on it. So yeah, because it's really important that I'm in integrity with myself, and I'm in integrity with others, and also accountability as well. Like if I've set an agreement with someone, it's about just sticking to it and noticing that if there's a voice in the mind that can want to change that, or want to like be like, oh, stuff it. I just don't want to keep that because I really don't care. Like whatever the story in the mind is, we kind of get down to the bottom of that, and then we create like a new behavior essentially, or to the awareness of the mind and how it goes to that place, but bringing it back to integrity and keeping that agreement.
Yeah, wow, that's so interesting, because you look throughout history and men have always been told from their fathers, from their grandfathers, or whatever, to be a man, and you shouldn't show too much of emotion. I had a few of those experiences with other family members, like the elders in my family, where they when they a sad thing happens or an emotional thing occurs within the family or in life, not to show it, push it down and get on with it. So it's really interesting that these sort of groups are happening now to empower men to show their emotions.
Yeah, totally, absolutely. It's just so important for men to get to show up in that vulnerability and be real about where we're at, because I mean, it's just and it's the feeling of like being seen and being heard in that as well. There's just a medicine in allowing a brother just to simply share with where he's at, and not needing to fix or save him or do anything. It's just a matter of just holding that space and being firm and really listening. Yeah. So,
Yeah.
yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Wow, that's so interesting. What so you've been on a spiritual journey for a while now. What are if you've had any, what are the mystical experiences that you've had so far in your life?
The mystical experiences. Could you elaborate on that a little bit more?
In terms of, again, like spirit guides, spirits, UFOs,
Oh, yeah. Okay.
synchronicities,
Um,
all the magic things of life.
I know this is a little thing, but I notice when I'm at the shops or when something runs out, or like if I'm at the shops and I'm buying something and I don't know, like the staff members, not like the items not scanning or something like that. The voice that comes through my mind is, oh, it's a sign from the universe that I don't need it.
Right.
Like little things like that I notice have shown up for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like, I mean, a lot of it ties in with intuition as well. If I'm like, I've realized sometimes, in the past, if I haven't trusted it, I mean, it's kind of led me to roadworks or led me to something different. I'm like, oh, that's why intuition, kind of, doing the pieces, to like, yeah, putting the pieces of the puzzle together essentially. But that's been a recent thing for me, to be honest, with the whole, like having spirit guides that are here on this earth and receiving their voices and receiving their messages. I feel like that's a recent thing for me. It hasn't been a big thing for me in the past. Yeah, I've explored a lot with like energy healing and receiving energy healing from others. But yeah, it's been a recent thing for me.
Yeah, that's interesting. And there's a lot of things going on in Australia at the moment. Everyone, the freedom convoys are all heading to Canberra.
Yeah.
What's your take on everything that's gone on in the last 2 years?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I think it's time for it comes down to individual sovereignty, brother. Like if I feel like if something's a no within you, it's a matter of honoring that, and I mean, honoring other people's truth for where they're at as well. But I feel with this, it's a matter of standing up. It's a matter of using that throat chakra within and saying enough's enough,
Yeah.
and just standing up in our truth and our power, and be like, I'm done. Like I'm done with all the manipulation, the games, the mind control, all this. And I feel like it's just a percentage of enough people standing up and
Yeah.
saying I'm done. If 15% of Australia, I reckon 15% of the population said I'm done, enough's enough, and empowered themselves in a way of like the opposite of poor me. It's more like, what can I do about it? And find out more about like common law and know your rights and all that kind of stuff really comes into play as well. I think is really important, just empowering ourselves as a citizen to find out what our rights are, and also, yeah, like being a part of protests as well. The right protests are really important as well, like heart-centered leaders who are running that. I have a friend of mine, well, who's a part of the Millie at the end of the month as well. So yeah, I mean, that just came through in that moment. But I think it's really important, individual sovereignty, and if something feels like it's crossing your boundary, it's crossing your boundary, and that's when it needs to be spoken into. Like a men's group actually said there's a fence. There's a fence, and this is my property, and if someone comes in and it feels like it's invading my space, that there's a boundary that needs to be spoken into. And it's the same thing with personal space as well. And yeah, that's what I'm kind of relating it to. Yeah.
That's so well said, brother. So well said. And it's funny that this is all like, yes, there were groups during lockdown and everything that was going on in Australia. It was all scattered around the country. But now that there's no more lockdowns and the whole of Australia can go to Canberra to, as you said, make their voice heard and open up that chakra of the voice.
Yeah.
It's gonna be a beautiful weekend this coming weekend, and it's so interesting that Canada of all places. Like you'd think this would spring out of America, but Canada has led the charge on this and everything that's going on. You know, they've got the trucks, you know, for miles and miles, you know, non-stop honking their horns, creating that disruption because our lives have been turned over these last 2 years. Our freedoms have been ripped away. And it's just so beautiful to see that it's this beautiful awakening that, if anything, the most positive thing that has come out of this pandemic is that it's woken people up, you know, of what the powers that be are really doing, because they're not doing it in the shadows anymore. They're doing it in our faces. And that's sprouted this beautiful tribe around the world of freedom fighters and people that believe in truth and liberty as well.
Absolutely, brother, because what's taking place right now is the Great Awakening and the Great Separation at the same time. Like the people who don't fully understand it and fully get it, and maybe too left, if that's a way of saying it, that, you know, follow the mainstream media and stuff like that. And there's no judgment on that side. Like I can be at peace with it, but it's more so knowing that it's just, you know, people, it's almost like that tall poppy syndrome as well. And how people don't always want to see people, you know, really shine and do things. And I notice it's the old mentality of the stories of like, you do what you're told, you kind of thing. And I notice that's a big thing for me in my upbringing, man, is like, you do what you're told and that's always the story. But it's like, and that comes down to individual sovereignty as well, and doing what's within you and knowing what your truth is and following that. Because it's now or never. It's like the Great Separation, the Great Awakening. I'd much prefer to be a part of the Great Awakening and be as aware of what's possible, what's going on, rather than just to be kind of blocked out by it and just following one thing. It's important to really get sources from different areas, man, because this whole mainstream media thing, it's not about the truth at all. So
yeah, exactly. That's right. And it's funny that you mentioned the mainstream media, you know, like it's just shown people that they're just the puppets of the leaders. You know, whatever the leaders want, the mainstream media will push that propaganda onto people.
Totally.
And again, people are waking up. You know, like when it was all happening, when we're all in the thick of it, you know, the start and the middle of last year, you know, you'd go out. I never wore a mask ever. The last 2 years, I've never worn it, no matter where I've gone. You know. And you get those looks like, oh, you know, what's wrong with this guy? But now you see it. You go out there, and there are more people just not complying,
and that's
to their own enslavement.
100%, brother. It's the way, because I've always said, like, this will always end when there's non-compliance. Like it all ends when we say no.
Exactly.
And for me with the Canada thing, like you mentioned that, and then I work in retail. I won't say where, but I just I served a customer the other day, and they're from Canada, and they say if no one wears a mask in Canada, they get judged to the point where like people are judging them by their words. Like they're just throwing every single projection on top to them as possible for not wearing a mask, and things like. I was just like amazed by that. I was like, it's crazy.
Like it's the same. I've got family in Italy and scattered around Europe as well, and it's the same over there, you know. But again, recently it's starting to shift. People are not having it anymore, and they've realized that they've been had for the last 2 years, and that's it. They don't want it anymore.
Totally, yeah.
And now that they're coming after the kids, that's going to be the big one. You know, that's going to be the big one.
Yeah. Oh, totally, man. And that's what saddens me the most, brother. Like, honestly, from the deepest part of my heart and soul, like I see kids all the time, and when I'm in the workplace and that, I just see like kids that are 3, 5, 7 have masks, man. Oh. And it's crazy. It's just, and the reality is I've come to acceptance with this particular topic. Where anyone's at, I can love them in it, and that's really key on my end. And I don't project any judgment onto them. But the whole vaccine thing, for me, it's just the kids can't make a choice for themselves. Adults make it for them, of course. But what happens when they're 25, 30, 35, 40, and when shit, like when problems happen in the future for them, anything health related, they're going to find a way to blame their parents. And that's obviously going to create resentment, which is, naturally a very low vibration. It's going to cause all kinds of issues. And I just think I really hope parents really come on board with being aware of what's going on and can be around conscious communities, and even creating, this is an idea, like just creating more conscious communities and more aware communities, and allow parents to be a part of like a conscious parenting type of environment. Like I've got friends of mine, Matt and Avalon, I love them, and they have a business called Grounded Traditions, and they do conscious parenting, and they take kids out in nature and they spend time with them on the earth and they educate them really well. And it's incredible. They work from home and then they work in nature, do like more like work in both areas. And for me, it's incredible to see them grow and flourish. And I feel like more communities like that is what's going to drive more of a conscious collective moving forward. I feel like that's where we need to link arms. Yeah.
Well, I've always said that, to evolve, we need to devolve. We need to go back to nature and have a harmony and a connection with nature again, because we've lost that. Most people don't know how to grow a tomato or, tend to the earth and live off the earth. No, they go to Coles or Woolworths. That's it. That's all they know. If shit hits the fan big time, what are they going to do?
Totally.
So these communities, as you said, it's a beautiful thing, and I'm all for that. Totally,
it's so true, man. It's about supporting local business too. Like I'm a big shopper. I shop at farmers markets. Massive advocate for it.
Yeah, we started as well.
I can't spend a dime in supermarkets, man. I mean, even though I currently work in retail, I see all the time, like in the supermarkets, that obviously toilet papers run out. Like there's all these crazy things, and it's just wild. Like people's buying habits as well is just crazy. It's a whole new level. But yeah, definitely coming back to supporting small business, and farmers market obviously is really important.
Yeah. Well, that's where I actually met you, at the farmers market. So
where we met at Currumbin there, on the Thursday market. Yeah, the community one. Yeah. Man, that's such a vibe.
It's such a beautiful vibe down there, isn't it?
Man, the energy is just incredible.
You've got the live music. You've got all healthy food all around you. Like beautiful energy. Gorgeous.
Man, it's so good. And there's a dog that comes down there regularly as well, that like, I don't know, there's certain like spiritual connections that we have with people, and the spiritual connections we have with animals and stuff. And there's one dog that comes down there from a magician who plays, and it's like totally next level, like the connection that, a man can have with a pet as well. It's incredible.
100%. What's your take with what's going on with Joe Rogan at the moment?
I mean, yeah, I've looked into it. I've looked into it a little bit. I haven't been too deep into it, but if I'm honestly speaking, but he's getting fried at the moment. Like a lot of people are like, giving him a hard time and that. But the reality is he's just speaking the truth. Like he's always been about that in his podcasts and stuff. Like look at who he has on his podcast. I mean, he's got, that Dr. Robert Malone, have looked into that a little bit, with how he says, it's impossible. Like basically it's really important to not get kids vaccinated because of the safety risks, and like there's not enough safety data to basically say it's safe for kids, and that's the guy that invented the technology for it. So I mean, like the guy is just full of truth. Like he has the right people on the podcast, and people are just grilling him, and it's just that tall poppy syndrome coming in, I feel. Yeah, what about you? What's your take on it?
Well, I think that, like, especially the last, few years, you look at mainstream media, and
Yeah.
there's a small percentage of people that watch the mainstream media and actually listen to the mainstream media.
Yeah.
Maybe it's gone up a bit more because of COVID. People love living off that fear energy. You know what I mean? But before that, it was going down, and I think that they're actually a bit jealous. I think they're fearful that millions and millions of people are tuning into this this guy who has UFC roots and was a stand-up comedian as well, and that is brave enough to have interesting people and mystics and philosophers, doctors, musicians, anyone that wants to just have a chat about their own beliefs. And it's like these days, it's like the truth is under attack. You look at what's happening with Julian Assange. That's just that breaks my heart. What's happened to him. And I believe that the truth is just under attack. And anyone that wants to speak the truth or trying to find out the truth, you're gonna be blocked and silenced.
Yeah, man, the censorship is real these days, and and even going back to the mainstream media thing, I think it's a matter of not giving it, like, it's like our thoughts. If they only really control, particularly if they're negative thoughts, they're only going to control us if we give too much time and attention to it. Like, and it's so aligned with health. Whatever we think about mentally, that transfers into the body. Exactly. And the same thing it is with mainstream media. If we keep giving it power and we keep giving it strength, it's gonna stay in business. But the way that I see moving forward, it may not be a thing in the future. It may not be a business in the future, because if enough people turn off their TVs and throw them out, or just not even pay attention to it at all, that's when things are going to shift massively, when people can get to that stage. But also on the flip side of that, it's about just not giving our consent to mainstream media as well. Like if they turn around to us and say, hey, can you speak on the news? It's like, well, no, I'm not going to speak on the news, because if you've got boundaries and you're going to just say it how it is, then we can't give power to them, because the reality is we can say what we want to say, but they could just twist our agenda any single second. Exactly. Because they can have a heading at the top of the mainstream media article, and they could just flip it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think it's about just not giving our power away and not giving much energy to it. And that's why other streams of social media are coming out as well. It's exciting to see Telegram as being a thing now, and things are starting to get movement. So
I just find it hilarious that you've got all these washed up artists like Neil Young and Joni Mitchell's joined the ranks now, and they're all saying it's a Spotify, it's either us or it's Joe Rogan. And I just find it hilarious that Spotify is that awake that have gone, you know what, we're picking Joe Rogan. So so that shows you something.
Oh, that's wild, hey. Yeah, and the music business is a crazy place, man, too. Like, just that whole, I went to the rabbit hole for a while there with all the Hollywood stuff, and
I love this subject.
Really?
Like growing up, where we were taught, especially during the 90s and stuff, we were just drummed into us that Hollywood and the music industry was that's where you wanted to be. That was the dream, to make it famous. And it's so interesting that that we've woken up now and gone, no, I don't want to be anywhere near that, with all the scandals and the pedophilia that's coming out and all that dark stuff. It's interesting how we've just flipped our perception of the whole dream, and I do believe that a lot of artists and musicians are only there because they did sell their soul. They've done something to get them into that position where they are. And whenever, that's why these old artists are still going, because they need to stay in the spotlight. To if the cabal says, we need you for something, we need your voice, we've got something on you, so you better do what we say. And I think a lot of that's going on.
Oh, 100%, definitely. It's just, man, like child sex trafficking is $150 billion a year plus. Like that's what's made in child sex trafficking and pedophilia and stuff. And it's just crazy to see how it's just a one-sided agenda too, with like even the lyrics, man. Like I've noticed the lyrics these days with the music is just, it's becoming more and more sour. Like another artist popped a song a little while ago. The chick who does Driver's License, Olivia Rodrigo, and like listening to that second song that she put out recently. I'm just trying to think of what that song's called, but man, it's just the lyrics in it. It just, oh man, it's just so, like, I hate the word. No, it's just poison. It's just poison. Like I'll use that instead of using the word I was going to use. But I mean, it's just terrible.
Oh, mate, it's just a pit of filth. That's all it is. It's a pit of filth. And you look at what's happened with Alec Baldwin.
Yeah,
he's murdered somebody, the cinematographer, murdered and attempted murder to the director, and is still not in jail. If that was you or me, we'd be locked up.
100%.
And not only that, he gets to have his say on national TV on 60 Minutes. It was 60. I think it was 60 Minutes to tell his side of the story before a jury or judge can hear the events of what happened.
Yeah, man. Oh,
it just shows you they're protected.
Totally. I haven't actually seen that yet. I mean, it's just, I mean, he's one of the people too that are no question a part of this as well. Like in terms of the pedophilia stuff, and it's just, it's just how does someone get away with it? I mean, what blows my mind these days is the justice system is not the justice system. It's run by the cabal as well, and it's just what people think it is. I mean, it's not. I mean, I looked at the whole Bill Heffernan thing a long time ago as well, with the Australian, politicians and stuff, and the police document for that. It's just for me, there's no justice in it, and I don't know what's it going to take for us to create a new system. I feel like it's up to us, the people, in some way to create a new system, and that's why things like common law are coming on board and stuff like that. And I just want to be more proactive in terms of my contribution and what like I can do differently, and how we can move forward as a collective, where it's fair for everyone, where it's actually fair. I mean, that's what's going through my mind now.
Yeah, exactly. But I think it's happening, as you said. The communities are coming together, and people are not voting for Labor or Liberal anymore because they know it's two wings of the same bird. The left or the right, doesn't matter. It's the same bird that's flying. And I think people are waking up and are going to start voting for these alternative. Maybe even new parties are going to come up and take over. That's what I really hope for.
Yeah, that's what I can see happening too, actually, from the independent side of things. And I feel, and this comes down to mainstream media as well, if people are giving less attention to that and can cancel it out altogether, I feel like people will make more of a more of a, well, I wouldn't say better decision, but more of a decision with actual perspective of really seeing everything for what it is, and really
Yeah.
really not seeing, because on the mainstream media it's one side, like
Yeah.
it's Labor or Liberal, it's, you know, so if people can really see that, there's more out there, there's more options, and there's more people who are actually doing the work, and yeah.
How do you see it all, once it's all over and we do start getting into this new age, we're in the Aquarian age now. How do you see it all playing out once we're into the thick of it?
How do I see it all playing out? I can just see a lot more people really just, well, yeah, standing up, and yeah, I just see like a lot of, I just see the non-compliance with people. I just see a bunch of sovereign souls who are willing to really stand up and just be like, I'm done with this, and I'm done with that, and I won't put up with this, and I won't put up with that. Yeah. Also, like on the political side, you mean as well?
Yeah, political and in life in general, and the communities
Yeah.
that are going to come together. Yeah.
Yeah, totally. I see more of conscious communities coming together, and like particularly I've seen with the common law groups, and I've seen with like the conscious parenting stuff kind of really come together. I've seen a lot of families link arms with that. So I feel more people are going to move towards a more of a common goal with basically detaching from the system altogether. Like, well, for example, like living off grid. I see a lot of people doing that, and people growing their own veggies as well, and that kind of thing. I mean, I do see a bit of a thing with that for sure. I think a lot of people are going to do that and move out bush as well, and create communities out there essentially.
Yeah. We're a huge advocate for UFO disclosure on this podcast. So
Yeah.
do you see, how do you see, because there's been a lot happening in the last few years with the Navy, coming out and saying that they're actually real. We've been encountering them on a daily basis. Have you or anyone else that have had any UFO experiences?
Actually, no, I haven't personally, and I've got someone who knows a little bit more about like aliens and UFOs, and down that kind of path a lot more.
Yeah.
Someone I could maybe get in touch with you
Yeah.
in terms of that, but yeah, I haven't had those experiences, but he talks a little bit about it on his stories as well, Ra. So yeah, I think he's the guy to chat with that. But
After getting on.
yeah, yeah,
Because
totally.
I think that's what they're waiting for. I think that's for us to all come together and stop looking at ourselves as black or white or Christian or Jew or transgender or gay or straight, whatever. I think they're all
Yeah.
waiting for us just to look at ourselves as a human family, a part of something much greater in this beautiful galactic universe that we're living in.
Totally. I mean, it's so important to be in acceptance and peace with everything that's around us. I mean, yeah, like particularly with that, like it's so important to accept people for who they are, and actually see them for who they truly are.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Because you
yeah. I
look
mean,
at Whoopi Goldberg, right? Did you hear what happened with
yeah,
her recently?
no,
So she was pulled up. So she said she was on that show, The View, or whatever it's called, which should
oh
be
yeah,
axed straight away. If I was her, if I was anyone of in the showbiz. But anyway, she goes on there and she goes that what the Germans did to the Jews
yeah,
wasn't about race. It was about humans, evil towards humans, which is a fair
mm,
assumption. I agree with that. That's what anything that's happened throughout history, it's not Christians versus, Muslims or whatever. It's humans evil towards humans. And we need to eliminate this. We need to see ourselves as one family, as one human family. But that's
Totally, man.
That's the whole agenda, to divide us and keep us at war against each other. So the few percent can run around and do whatever they want to do.
And run the place, yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
Exactly.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I have hope in my heart that we'll get there one day. But we're getting there now.
Yeah.
We're getting there now. I do believe that.
Definitely. Yeah. I feel there's a lot more progress there. Definitely with all that. Yeah.
I always love to end with hope. So what messages of hope would you like to share with humanity, especially at this time?
Messages of hope. Yeah, times are going to get listen to ourselves and continue to do the work on ourselves. I feel the universe really supports that. The universe is all at our back. I really do believe that. And whatever you choose to connect with, whether you call it God, spirit, universe, I really feel it is guiding us to where we're meant to be, to where our hearts are really meant to be. And for me, going back to self-love, I mean, I feel like it's the intuition is just such a gateway to that. And eventually one thing I want to work towards is doing workshops on intuition. And intuition comes within. It's an innate gift. And I would love to see others experience more of that. And and I feel the more that we continue to do work on ourselves and the more that we continue to really connect with our individual sovereignty, things are going to continue to get better.
Beautiful, my man. Beautiful. Thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate you. I love your messages of hope, and to listen to your story of your encounter with a close death. Anyway, I think it's really pushed you in a very spiritual direction that you're on.
Absolutely.
And things happen, man. And things happen for a reason. So I do believe that's why that happened to you.
It's an anchor. I feel like it's an anchor. It's something for me to go deeper with. Really just following my own inner guidance and just really trusting that, because it's just imperative. Like it's there's certain moments in life where it just could have been all different. Like it could have changed. Like it could have been possibly my last time here on earth, or it could have just, things could have changed in that moment. I was just really, really lucky that everything kind of worked out. And it's just, I'm so grateful to be here. There's so much more to experience. And I love chasing waterfalls. I love going to really cool spots, man. I love checking out different spots, and it's really cool. There's just so much to experience here in this gift that we all have. The gift is within, and then everything external as well.
Where can people go and find more about you and support the future works that you're going to do?
Sure. So my Facebook is Patrick McEwen, MCEWAN, and you can just add me on there, and also connect with me on Instagram. It's just Patrick McEwen 1 on Instagram, the number 1, and that's where you can connect with me on there. I'm also on Telegram as well, so you can reach out on there. I'm just in the process of offering a space for people to connect deeper with nature, with themselves, with their intuition, and with spending more time yeah, really being in the awe and the presence of Mother Earth and Mother Nature, and really just honoring it for what it is. It's just truly sacred, and yeah, just connecting from this place. So yeah.
Wow, brother, I'm so grateful for you, and yeah, I'd love to go out there with you and get in touch with nature.
Yeah, awesome, brother. Really look forward to it. It's been
Bless,
so much fun, man.
bless you, brother. Thank you so much. You've been listening to Patrick McEwen. I'm Roberto Roya from the Mystic Drop. Thank you so much, guys. Salute, brother.
I love it. Aho. See you, bro.
Ciao.